I always thought these things were kind of gimmicky, but after playing with it a little, I really, really like it. I'm getting a little too 12-year-old daredevil here instead of a 40-year-old fat man. It is very fun. I'm here today with this NAVEE GT3. Now this is the 1000-watt model. They do have a model that's a little more powerful, but this one meets a pretty good price point with a 37-mile max range and a 20-mile-per-hour top speed. And honestly, 20 miles per hour on this thing seems insane, so don't worry about that speed. This is built for adults of about 265 pounds. I am 307 pounds, and it was handling my weight, so if you stay under that weight, you should be great. Obviously, at my weight, you're going to wear it down a little bit faster, but it felt completely safe. So if you're under 265 pounds, great buy. This does have the 1000-watt motor. That is the peak power. It delivers really strong acceleration. I actually got it to wheelie a couple of times because I just jumped right into the acceleration. Once I got used to where to stand and stuff, then I sorted that out. It does have a lit brake light. It has a headlight you can turn on. It has a actual mechanical bell if you want it. It has turn signals that also make a beeping noise. This can do hills. I will say if you're trying to launch up a hill, it does get a little bit more difficult because you have to get it to a certain speed. You can set that in the app. It does have an app on iOS and Android. They both work. I tested them both. They let you do things like lock the scooter so someone can't take it, change the speed you have to get to launch, and then a couple of other things. It also works with Find My with the Apple ecosystem. You double tap the button to change through the different modes. On pedestrian mode, you're doing about 3 miles per hour. On daily mode, you're doing about 12 miles an hour. And then on sport mode, it'll get up to 20 miles per hour. I find in pedestrian mode, if there's any sort of hill, you can't even tell it's doing anything. If you had smooth sidewalk or something, or like a bike lane, I'm sure it would work great. But I would stick to daily mode or sport mode myself. Now, sport mode, I would not start there. I would definitely start in pedestrian or daily, because when you hit that acceleration, that thing goes in sport mode, and it takes a little getting used to. Same thing with the braking. I would definitely practice braking at a slower speed because the brakes work very well. And yeah, it'll try to launch you if you're going really fast. So I found I will let off the acceleration and then I come in and brake. And I'll go ahead and kind of wiggle a foot out there to balance myself if I stop a little too fast. I would just be careful until you get used to it. It does have really stable acceleration. Just slowly ease into it, and it's nice and steady. Nothing scary. Pretty great. They list a 37-mile range. Obviously, that's going to depend on your weight, the terrain, the grade of the terrain, stuff like that. So just keep that in mind. It does have a front fork suspension here, which is pretty nice. Gives you a little bit of a nice feel when you hit something a little bit bumpy. And then it has a rear dampening cylinder that you can see right there. That's that little like copper and chrome kind of deal. Again, just makes a slightly better ride. So it has 10-inch pneumatic tires. It has a 7-inch wide anti-slip deck. It just takes a little getting used to where you put your feet. Where I want to intuitively put my foot, I can't, but that's just a personal preference. The more I get used to it, the more I'm like, oh, I can put my foot there. Now, it is super stable at top speeds. I will say if you're going slow, just because of physics, it's a little harder to keep stable. The faster you go, the more stable you can go. Same thing with turning. Turning wide or turning sharply slow just feels a little weird. If you're going at speed, not like super speed, but if you're going at a decent speed, then it's better. Same principle with a bike. That's just the physics of the two wheels at play there. Now it does have a front drum brake and then a rear, I believe they called it EABS brake system. Again, they work really, really good and should be pretty low maintenance. You're gonna replace your tires and stuff long before you have to replace those brakes probably. Now it is a little heavy. It weighs 48.5 pounds. If I fold the handlebars down, you do that right here. You just lift that lever up and then the handlebars fold down. It will just barely fit in the width of our SUV on the back seat. Unfortunately, it won't fit in the rear compartment of our SUV, but I did put it in the back seat to go film. And I just threw down like a moving blanket because, as you can see, I do have some red sand and stuff on there because it has rained for 2 weeks and this is the desert. The fact that you can fold it though is nice because then you can stow it easily at work. You can stow it in your apartment, any small space. You know, it's really nice. You have to deal with the length of it and then about 5-6 inches of height, and you can pretty much put it anywhere. I would argue that you could probably even fit it under some beds. Now the battery has a 477 watt hour capacity. It takes about 8 hours to fully charge that if you've depleted it, but you know, that's not too bad. It is a big battery, and the slower you charge the battery, the better the health is. So if you use this for like your commute, you could probably, depending on how far you're commuting in a city, you could get 2 or 3 days out of it probably. And then you just come home from work one night and you plug it in and it should be good to go the next morning. Their app also has some diagnostic stuff that you can go in and check out. It does have a TCS traction control, which helps that front wheel maintain grip on wet or slippery surfaces. I did take it down to some loose gravel earlier, and the only time I noticed any issue in the loose gravel was when I was turning, and then it felt weird. And I'm guessing by weird, I don't mean it felt like dangerous or anything. It just something felt weird. I'm guessing that's that management system making sure that front tire is doing what it's supposed to in the gravel. Kind of like if you've ever had traction control kick on in your car, the handling just feels a little different. And that's kind of what I felt there. So I think that was working quite well. It does have IPX5 water resistance. So, you know, you go through a puddle, it's going to be fine. It starts sprinkling on you, raining a little on you on your way home, you're going to be all right. The welds are actually really nice. I had some e-bikes and stuff sent to me that had atrocious welds, and this is really good build quality. Like I cannot find a single like defect in manufacture. There's no seam, there's no, you know, jagged piece of plastic, there's no ugly weld. Like they really put time and attention into this, other than it's way too fun and I want to do dumb stuff on it. And I know I'm just going to like hurt myself because I kept trying to lean farther and farther into turns. And I'm like, I should probably stop for the day. I'm getting a little too 12-year-old daredevil here instead of a 40-year-old fat man. Since this does weigh almost 50 pounds, carrying this upstairs, if you're smaller, probably would be a bit of an issue. Even loading it into the car, you know, I wrestle lasers that are 60, 70 pounds in the garage and printers that are 50 pounds and move them all the time. But, you know, just trying to like find a good place to grab this to put it in the car, it's a little awkward. It's not, you know, an insurmountable task, but it is a bit awkward. I always thought these things were kind of gimmicky, but after playing with it a little, I really, really like it. It is very fun. I will say if you're going through like wet sand or something, it was kicking some up on the deck. So, you know, try to avoid giant puddles or whatever, and you should be all right. Like they've really thought about this thing. It's pretty fun. I believe they're tubeless tires too. You do want to check them every time you use it. Just check the pressure. You should do that with like bicycles and stuff too. And while you're at it, go ahead and check your car once or twice a week. Just, you know, fuel economy, right? But other than that, yeah, like I'm going to clean this thing up so I can put it in storage. It's a little chilly today. I was riding it, even with my helmet on, my head was getting a little cold. I would recommend a helmet with this just to be safe. If you fall even from standing high and your head hits something hard, it could be game over for you. So make sure you wear your helmet. But yeah, I like it.